In the last section, we talked about having a to-do list, which is in fact the number one thing, the starting point we have to have in order to be productive. It's apparent that we need to write down the actual tasks and activities that we need to do to become productive. We need to make sure that we have a list of the activities because the human brain, the memory, is a very unreliable place to store information that's important. And that to-do list will give you direction on what tasks and activities you need to complete. But as we looked at the last segment, we found out that having a crumpled piece of paper or the back of an envelope or a series of sticky notes that you staple to your car keys may not be the most effective way to keep track of your daily activities. All of this course is going to be teaching those essential tools to help you create those repeatable processes to move forward in improving your time management. In the last class, we talked about this crumpled sheet of paper. Now, it's not that what's necessarily on the to-do list that needs to change, although some of that needs to be refocused. The problem is that there is no clarity in this list. There is certainly no commitment when you have a list like this that is, just torn up and put in a place. You have not prioritized what you're going to do. In this section, we're going to become crystal clear on how to create a better to-do list by using a repeatable worksheet. So many of the things that we're going to be doing in this class and teaching have to do with tools that you can use over and over again, these systems. And eventually, rather than falling back on default behaviors like using a to-do list that didn't work for the last decade, 2 decades, 3 decades, we're going to begin to create new behaviors, not just new thoughts, not just understanding something, but we're going to create new behaviors. And we're going to do that through worksheets that have a very low learning curve. Very quickly, you'll be able to replace old faulty behaviors with new productive, helpful, easier to use tools and behaviors. So this is what we looked at last time. This is that familiar to-do list. We talked about the fact that a lot of times when you create a to-do list, you're actually creating not only things you need to do, but also things you don't want to forget to do. And paper is an important place to put those things down. We never want to rely on all of that swirling through our mind. And in the evenings, as we talk about, we will help you just put all of these things down so that you can make a concise, important, focused list. So how do we do that? If we want to create a to-do list that's going to be helpful, we need to make sure that we're not overestimating how many things we can get done. It puts us right back into that choke point. If we decide, and at any point, let's see, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There are 9 things on this list. It doesn't look like that'll be very hard. I want to repeat these things because once you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 things. Get rid of number 10. 9 things in your to-do list coming into this choke point. You can see quickly that it's not just the to-do list that's the problem. It's all of the constant interruption, the phone calls, the text messages, the emails, someone knocking at your door, just thoughts taking you to other places. And it's not just that this to-do list wasn't completed. It's that the to-do list that you've had for the last 10 years have not been able to get completed. So this choke point means that we need to start a new behavior. What does that look like? The 7-minute life has been intended to help you create new and simple behaviors and information. We're going to help you do that by encouraging you to realize that these hard stops, this framework of 24 hours a day, limits how many things you can get done. There is this hard stop limit that you are going to run out of time. As I repeat this, I want you to continue to think that when you run out of time, what it hurts, you're actually running out of your own energy, you're running out of your excitement, you're becoming disengaged from work. So this 24 hours that we have in a day has to become more and more aware. We need to understand that. There are 1,440 minutes in a day. You're going to see when you create this better to-do list, the importance of stepping outside of the noise and taking this 1% of your time. This is where the 7-minute life is going to come alive for you. If you can say, and I'm going to just flip back to this, I am no longer going to just write things down randomly out of my brain. I'm instead going to recognize that I have 24 hours in a day. That's all I've got. That breaks down into 1,440 minutes. And I am now going to, here's the big word, I'm going to choose to create a new habit of taking 1% of my time, which is 14 minutes. I'm going to take 14 minutes, and I'm even going to make it easier than that. I'm going to take 7 minutes in the evening, and I'm going to take 7 minutes in the morning. Not to create a crumpled to-do list that really has a lot of things that we don't want to forget. But in that 7 minutes in the evening, I'm going to set my phone timer. I'm going to turn it over. And here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to think about all the things that are open. What are all the things I'm juggling? What are the projects that I'm working on at work? What are the things, the tasks, the home repair, the school? What are all those things at home that you need to get completed? What are all those things? You're gonna, and not in a rush, you're gonna think about all the things that you need to do, and you're gonna do that by just taking everything out of your brain and writing it on a to-do list, but not a random to-do list. We're gonna walk through that. During that same 7 minutes, while you're writing these things down, all mixed together, but everything coming out of your mind where you have all of this clutter and putting it into a format that is repeatable, after you've put it all down on paper, you're going to still have a lot of time to take that information and to plan which of those things need to be done, what order do they need to be done, and do they actually ever need to be done? So you're going to think about the to-dos. You're going to begin to plan through those, which are important, which are not. You're going to be able to prioritize the tasks that have hard stops for the next day. You're going to clarify all the steps that you need to take to complete that project or that task. And you're going to finally figure out how long each task will take you. So you've done all that in 7 minutes. You'll get faster and faster as you go along. In the morning, you're going to take a look at your to-do list and you are going to recalibrate. You know that when you walk in the office, things change. All great plans have to be able to be flexible. So what does it look like? Let's take this same information that we have. Let's assume that we've written down all of these things here. So pay the utility bill. Rather than on a crumpled piece of paper, we're writing the very same thing down. Pick up the groceries. Put the gas in the car. This sounds pretty familiar. Clean off your desk because it's making you crazy. Prepare for the staff meeting. And this is something we often don't even put on the list. We just, even if we're leading it, we just walk in. So prepare for the staff meeting. Oh my goodness, don't forget to do the laundry because you need that uniform. You need it for the game tomorrow. You have a big project that people are waiting on you to complete. It is due tomorrow. That is a hard stop. There is nothing else you can do. And then you have put on your own schedule a tennis lesson at 5:30. And you really need to schedule a dental checkup. All of these little things. So this is the question I want to ask you. And obviously, you know, I want you to date everything, because when you date something, you slow down, you actually can begin to take ownership of those things. You can realize that your day does not have to run you. You get to make some choices, but the only way that you can make choices is to have some kind of list of everything out of your mind onto a specific piece of paper. That's why this worksheet, using the same tool over and over and over again, will create habits. And even better, it's going to create a habit that you can rely on. You're not going to have to figure it out. You're going to rely on it. This is the type of to-do list we've been using. Now, take a look at this list. Pay the utility bill, pick up groceries, gas, clear off the desk, prepare for the staff meeting, do the laundry, prepare for the project tomorrow, tennis lesson, and dental checkup. Here are a couple of questions I want to ask. Let's say that you're in business. What is missing from this to-do list? This is a list of random things that may be needing to be done, but the first question we should ask ourselves is, what is my goal for tomorrow? Let that sink in for a moment. What is my goal for tomorrow? When you're creating your to-do list, are any of these things on your to-do list what we would call high value activities? I'm going to run our room. How many things on this, and this is assuming that you have a full-time job outside the home. You'll see how this works inside the home too. But in this case, I'm just talking about someone that has a job outside of the home. When you create your to-do list, or when you created this one, did you step back and say, before I create my list, what is the goal that I want to have for tomorrow? What's the overarching goal? We can't even do that until we clearly state, these are the projects that I have that have been directed by my company that will clearly lead. And let's say that you're in marketing. Let's say that you're in marketing and you have a marketing project that will help your company clearly grow market share by 2%. So that was what you started with at the end of December for January. Before you created your to-do list, did you go back and say, literally, what is my job? What is my role? What's my responsibility to take a project from where it was supposed to be in December to an end result, either at the end of the year or end of the quarter? When you walk into your office, have you thought through, oh my, let me be creative. Let me know not just what I need to do today, but what are those things that should be top of mind for me? Always top of mind. Can you see how this would create a better to-do list? When you focus on knowing, 7 minutes in the evening, you look back and you say, the key for what I'm doing in marketing is to increase awareness of our brand so that we can increase market share by 2% by the end of the year. I need to constantly be, we call that framing. I need to constantly be framing my thought, remembering what my job is. And these sound so simple, but remembering what I was hired to do, understanding what my daily work should include. Of course, you need to prepare for the staff meeting. You need to work on the project, but are those two things the most important, the highest value activities that are going to move you forward toward your goal? Let me restate that. Most people walk into the office with a crumpled piece of paper that they dash things down that, yes, they need to get done. Some of them are actually important, but there's very little commitment. There's very little thought process, and there is really no guiding format. Rather than using a crumpled sheet of paper, I'm going to encourage you to use the 7-minute life to-do list, a better to-do list. The first thing you're going to do is date that to-do list for tomorrow. By dating it, you actually have the ownership of the day. You're taking responsibility personally rather than blaming all these things for getting in your way. You're actually going to begin to make choices of what you're going to do. As you hold that sheet of paper in your hand the night before while you're taking that 7 minutes in the evening, you're going to think through everything that is swirling in your mind. Things do now, do later. You're going to write all of those things down. In this case, we would write down, okay, Allyson, don't forget to pay the utility bill. I need milk. I need gas in the car, and my desk is driving me crazy. I have a staff meeting that's going to start at 11 a.m. To make the staff meeting more productive, I need to prepare an agenda. John has a soccer game tomorrow at 5:30 or whatever time that is. I need to make sure his uniform is washed. And I have a project due at 4:30 p.m. tomorrow that my team is waiting on. I'm just so grateful that after I turn that project in, I've scheduled a tennis lesson, and I realized I haven't had a dental checkup in a while. So you've created all those things. You've used a tool to help you. But when you created this list and you look at it, are these things on your list actually high value activities? Are the to-dos that you have put on this list, are they in alignment with the job title, the role that you were meant to play in order to do two things? In that 7 minutes, did you just write down things that were swirling through your mind? Or did you think and remember? Did you frame your to-do list by remembering what you were hired to do? What is your role? In this example, we're using the example of someone in marketing. And before you create that to-do list, you have to think back to what was set as your yearly goal or quarterly goal. What projects are going to move you forward? What does your company want to accomplish as an entire company? If you're in charge of the marketing budget, the marketing plans, do you have a clear understanding of what that looks like to increase market share by the end of the year by 2%? Are these things at the top of your mind? I'm going to pause at this point and give you a break so that we can move into the next segment that talks about prioritizing your to-do list and creating how long those things are going to take to complete. I want to talk about this primary key are the things that you have on your current to-do list. These here, even though you're transferring them to a better platform, to a repeatable process, are any of these things on your to-do list actually moving you forward towards your goal? We'll learn how to prioritize and how to look at how long these things are going to take, but we're going to help you create a list of higher value activities so that you can make sure that what you walk into your office saying you need to do is the correct list. So stay tuned for the next segment when we talk about high value activities and how to prioritize and set realistic objectives for how long each activity will take.